Yeah. So we're looking at the Philadelphia 76ers, and I've got a chuckle on my face because you've chosen a very interesting, iconic moment. I'm going with a slightly different one. So 76ers, had some success back in the late 70s, early 80s, if I'm getting my timeline right. They did win a title, I believe, with Dr. J and Moses Malone. But again, that recency bias, that media bias, that presence that you can get from moments. I've chosen the Ty Lue step over. It's just, not even just for the franchise. It's probably a top five iconic moment, across the league. I think we talked about this, off camera a couple of times. So going with that one, the fun facts I can spin for you is, Allen Iverson gets a game against the Lakers here, eventually then losing 4-1 in the NBA Finals. Doesn't sound very impressive, but the fact that Allen Iverson pretty much single-handedly beat the Lakers is a big deal because this specific series, the Lakers, which I just again, like I always feel like, why do we never talk about this? The Lakers went 16-1 in their NBA Finals pursuit. If not for Allen Iverson having this absolutely insane game, they're flawless. They're the first team in NBA history to go flawless in an era that's probably a little bit more respected than doing it back in the 50s. So I think this is iconic. I think everybody, this has been memed. This has been, like referenced in shows. Like it happens in shows sometimes that there'll be a reference to this step over. This is iconic, but you've chosen a more cerebral photo, I feel.
You've definitely gone for a classic iconic image. Can't argue that. I think the only slight to this is that it feels like a consolation prize that, oh well, you guys won one game in the finals, right? This would be a whole nother story if like the Sixers had won, all right, in an upset or something along those lines. But it's like, okay, you guys, showed up, AI bought his game, bought his attitude. This moment occurred. You guys won one game against the sort of that crazy Lakers team that was so deep and good. And then that was it. Then they lost four in a row, and see you later. So, I guess my moment I picked obviously is the moment that the 76ers bought David Hinkie. And let me bring out that image. There you go. I had it on a different tab. And firstly, I was like, when I googled this and I chose this one, I was like, who's this other guy? I don't know. Can you tell me who this other guy is? Because they look like they're freaking twins or best buddies from high school. Seriously, like, like do it. Like, I'm sure we can Google this and I can probably think back and figure this out. But like, firstly, this whole image of these two white guys clearly making millions of dollars with smug smiles on their faces probably foreshadow the fact that we're gonna go mess up this franchise for the next, I don't know, 3 years, I believe it roughly was, that we're gonna try and lose as many games as possible to get a high draft pick, which in theory made this much sense, but we'll give you credit for this much sense versus no sense at all. But then the more important part was with making that high pick, you got to nail your pick, right? You got to actually pick players that are going to help your franchise turn it around. And I think right now, after now it's like 2023, Joel Embiid just won his first MVP. He's obviously a product of this process. Everyone else is gone. Yeah, literally everyone else is gone from this process at the 76ers. And I think we're going to have to say here, the writing is on the wall that the Sixers are not going to win a championship from this process. And they're now at a point where they probably need to just go back to some other process and tear it all down again. And that could happen as quick as this season. And Embiid suddenly decides, hey, I want to get traded. All right. And this was an abstract failure of the 76ers attempt to win. And that's really encapsulated the franchise for the last 10 years or so now. Um, and that's why I picked this image.
Yeah, look, it's. I wonder if maybe you did that in anticipation that you knew I'd pick this one so we could have a longer video. It's a good point. Like in terms of recent Philadelphia history, once Iverson left, there was the Elton Brand, Iguodala sort of mindset, but they
Who
never really
remembers
were
that? Who
competitive.
remembers that?
And, obviously then the process, you think about the process, that was successful branding around one of the worst teams ever, right? Like, how often do we give that much attention to a team that isn't winning more than 20 games in consecutive seasons? And they just drafted high. they accumulated like they also got draft busts. Like we acknowledged Joel Embiid being phenomenal, but what about Jahlil Okafor,
Yep.
right? A player who was a number one pick and actually had decent stats and like fell out of the league within 5 seasons or something.
Markel Fultz
Nerlens
forgot
Noel,
to shoot.
yeah, Markel Fultz forgets to shoot. Obviously, Ben Simmons is another really great one, but that they had ample opportunity and they had a really good team. And I think the big what if for them is the Jimmy Butler signing. I think Jimmy Butler's personality is a spade as a spade, and I think it ages better. I think he's very much like wine, where it ages better. And he had an opinion over the Timberwolves, and he had an opinion over the Philadelphia, and both those opinions have probably panned out to be quite true. But he was difficult at the time because he was saying what people didn't want to say. I think the process as well kind of locked them into picks, right? They picked Joel Embiid and they thought he was going to be good. So they let him have that ridiculous, like he didn't play for like 4 seasons, right? Like that's why everyone with Zion's currently like, oh, well, maybe it'll just pan out to be a Joel Embiid situation because you just give him 4 years to rest and maybe he'll be fine. And then Ben Simmons never got any better. He was very raw talent, but he never got any better. And again, you've locked yourself into that pick. You picked him. You feel good about him. So you just don't say anything. And Jimmy Butler comes along and is like, hey, like this dude needs to like get the ball out of his hand sometimes or actually do something or get on the bench. And everyone had an exception to it. So, iconic, but probably for the opposite reason. I actually think this is going to damage the franchise and they are missing a window. I think that window probably has closed. Joel Embiid's never going to stay healthy for 100 plus games, which is what's required in the regular season and playoff push. James Harden's on the outs in some capacity. And I don't know what they get in return with this new CBA. So
I'm just having a look at the list of picks they made here. So I believe that sort of process period was 2014, 2015, 2016, which then culminated in the Ben Simmons pick, and Markel Fultz was in 2017. And let's say we go all the way to 2017, actually. So Markel Fultz all the way through to Joel Embiid as the first pick here for the 76ers that they made in that first round. There is literally, besides Jeremy Grant, yeah, which they picked in the 39th pick in the second round in 2014. Not another player there that's actually even a starter. And that's the lack of talent evaluation that, all right, let's lose all season long. Let's get a high pick. But hey, have we actually done any homework who we should pick? Hey, it feels like the glaring joke that obviously has happened for the 76ers in the last 10 years. And yeah, I don't know. I guess yeah, back to the drawing board for them.
This is Two Guys with Spare Time. I'm Faz, this is Nick. You're probably a basketball fan like us, so hopefully you can throw us an assist and giving our video a like and subscribing to our channel.
And if you got thoughts, feelings, or even some suggestions, please put them down in the comment section below. And thank you for using your spare time to watch us in our spare time.